Hello, this is Robert Whitaker. I'm with Veterinary Intelligence, and today I want to talk to you about financial planning for pet parents. This is something that's near and dear to my heart, simply because I have my own pets that I have to take care of, even though, I'm in the veterinary industry. I've been in situations where, I've had to pay for really expensive surgeries, really expensive procedures, imaging, whatever it may be. I'm not a veterinarian. I am an imaging technologist, which means I take images for veterinarians, but I'm also in imaging equipment sales. But part of what I believe my purpose in life is to connect veterinarians and pet owners on a level that they can't connect with each other on inside the exam room, inside the doors of their business or their practice. So I took some surveys, and some of you filled those surveys out, and thank you for doing that. This was aimed at pet owners, and the purpose of the survey was to determine, how much influence does price or quality have on a consumer's choice when it comes to their veterinarian. 12% of you that responded said that price is the only thing that matters to them when it comes to veterinary care. 28% of you said that pricing never matters. And of course, the remaining 60%, pricing is considered, but it's not a priority, which is, I think, a good estimation of most people that I interact with feel the same way. Quality-oriented veterinary care. So quality of care matters more than price to 85% of the people who responded to this survey. That's significant. I think veterinarians could take a lesson and understand that, hey, 85% of the people that walk through your door care more about the job you do than the money you charge. I think that would make a lot of veterinarians feel better to know that statistic from this particular survey. 55% of respondents, they choose their veterinarian based on the reputation of quality. Again, very encouraging if I'm a veterinarian. If I work in a veterinary practice, it's encouraging to know that more than half the people walking through the door walk through our door because they believe, from what they've heard, what they've read, that we have a good reputation for providing quality of medicine. So this will move us into the next section. We're talking about planning financially for things that we, really don't want to discuss and don't want to ever happen. But we have to plan financially for something bad to happen to one of our pets. Whether that's a broken leg or eating something they shouldn't have eaten, coming down with a virus. There's a lot of different things that can happen to pets. Parasitic borne diseases. This is why we do preventive health care and parasiticides like, giving flea and tick meds and heartworm meds to our dogs and cats. We need these things. But one of the things that we have to address at the consumer level, and we're addressing it in the veterinary hospital too, is price inflation. Medical services and veterinary medical services for humans, dogs, and cats, prices for these services are continually going up. And what that means to you as a consumer or as a pet parent is you need to prepare financially. You need to have a plan when things go wrong. So the number one cause right now in the veterinary medical field for this inflation of services or the inflation of service fees is a shortage of veterinarians. We only have currently 28 veterinary schools in the United States. Now, you have 50 states in the U.S., and we have 28 schools providing veterinarians to all 50 of those states. If you think about this in comparison to human medical doctors, to MDs, all right, every state has multiple medical schools. In the case of veterinarians, some states have no veterinary school. Only 3 states I know of have 2 veterinary schools. So this is a problem. We are licensing more veterinarians in the state of Texas than the 2 vet schools. Well, Texas Tech isn't open yet, but Texas A&M's vet school licenses 220 or so students every year, or 200. I may be wrong. Somewhere around 200 veterinarians licensed each year graduate out of Texas A&M. New licensed veterinarians in Texas every year are over 400 or 500, meaning veterinarians that come from Louisiana State, Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Colorado State, even Ohio State, Iowa State, come to Texas to work. So we have this huge shortage of veterinarians. We have a shortage of licensed veterinary technicians for the same exact reason. Nursing schools, veterinary nurses, veterinary nursing schools, there's 2 in Texas. There ought to be 5. There's 1 or 2 in Oklahoma and Kansas. Very few schools exist. Most licensed veterinary technicians get their licensing and their education online at Penn Foster. I say most, many do. But we have this shortage of licensed veterinary technicians. So when there is a shortage of something, the response to that is to recruit, and the response to recruiting in a shorted market of labor is to pay more. You pay signing bonuses, you pay a higher wage, you offer more vacation, you offer all these incentives for a veterinarian or a licensed veterinary technician to leave their current employer and come to work for you. And that means your service fees have to go up if you're going to hire that veterinarian for more money, or that licensed veterinary technician. Increases in operating expenses. Veterinary practices are not cheap to run. Ladies and gentlemen, a veterinary practice will often have 20 employees or more, in some cases over 50. And just the labor and the health insurance and the property insurance alone cost more to operate than you can possibly imagine. These vet clinics are expensive. And then you add on the equipment. So when we look at health insurance expenses that we have to pay for employees in a veterinary practice, guess what? Health insurance goes up every single year. The premiums for health insurance for employees, every single year it goes up. Equipment and supplies. Costs for supplies and equipment continually go up. Why? Because cost of materials goes up too to build these things. COVID-19. We've all seen this experience over the last year, over the last 18 months now, of COVID-19 driving prices up because there are labor shortages everywhere in manufacturing. So when we look at expenses in the veterinary hospital, there's, about 4 different ways that you're going to pay for these fees. You're going to pull out your debit card, or you're going to pay cash for what's happened that day, whether you're in there for a wellness visit or whether you're in there and the animal's sick. In a lot of cases where we have an emergency situation, God forbid, a hit by car or something, the expenses can run over $1,000, and in some cases, up to $5,000 or $10,000. Depending on the kind of surgeries that are needed. And when these situations occur, if you cannot pay the cash or charge it to your credit card, which, all of us have different opinions about debt, but I think it would be silly to charge a $10,000 surgery on your credit card, but there are those who do. Care credit is offered, which is essentially also a credit card, but it's a credit card for your veterinarian. Scratch pay is another way to pay, which is basically kind of like a PayPal loan, essentially, that it's not by PayPal, but it's scratch pay, which means, you can sign up for scratch pay and then you pay installments to scratch pay. They basically tap into your bank account every month and take an equal amount out until your vet bill's paid. Now, what I believe is the most underutilized service today in veterinary healthcare is pet insurance. I think everyone needs to be looking at pet insurance, shopping for pet insurance, learning more about pet insurance. And then when they get to where they are comfortable with the idea of it, because you probably have it too. And guess what? Your employee or your employer may not be offering pet insurance. They're only offering insurance for you and your family, but not your pets. So maybe it's time for you to look into pet insurance. And we, on our website here at Veterinary Intelligence, I've built a page that is dedicated to, doing some research. Like I said, I'm not an insurance agent. I don't sell insurance. I'm not licensed to do that. I'm never going to start doing that, and I'm not going to go get licensed. I'm just here to bring you an awareness. You need to look into pet insurance. You need to have a financial plan for your pets when something goes wrong. Some of these plans will pay 80% of your vet bill. Some of these plans are going to pay 100% of your vet bill. You're going to pick a premium to fit your budget. So, there's some premiums that could be $30 a month per pet. There's others that could be $100 a month per pet, and everywhere in between. But you got to read, you got to read what they cover and what they do not cover. Are they going to pay me, or are they going to pay the veterinarian, when I go into the office? Do they cover vaccine? Do they not cover vaccine? You need to understand what all it's covering and what it isn't. And the only way to do that is to do your research. The first stop in your research is ask your veterinarian, what pet insurance would you recommend? Your veterinarian sees 20 or 30 patients a day. A good portion of them may already be using pet insurance, and he or she may have already heard what kind of pet insurance is better than others. Get different quotes from different companies. Use our website to go find their websites, or you can just Google pet insurance and get after it. You don't have to go to my website at all. But once you get on their website, use their chat resource. Ask questions. Ask the silly questions. Ask the ones that you are afraid to ask. Get as much knowledge as you can about pet insurance. Look at your budget. See what you can afford, and put a plan in place, because there's nothing worse than already dealing with a tragedy with our pets and then dealing with a second tragedy with our finances. This is Robert Whitaker, and I hope that everything continues to go well for you and your fur babies. Have a good day.